The father wound refers to the psychological and emotional deficit created by a father who is physically absent, emotionally unavailable, or hypercritical. While the wound stems from a similar lack of safety and validation, the way it manifests often follows gendered scripts, largely because children look to their fathers for different types of developmental mirrors. The architecture of the wound. The father serves as the primary other in a child's early development. If the mother is often the source of primary nurturing, the father is traditionally the figure who introduces the child to the external world, providing a sense of protection and social identity. When this role is neglected, the child develops a core belief that they are fundamentally unprotected or unworthy of attention. The female experience. Seeking external validation. For many women, the father wound is a wound of worth and desirability. Because the father is the first male relationship a girl experiences, his behavior sets the template for what she expects from men. The father hunger in relationships. Women with father wounds may develop an anxious attachment style. This often leads to a pattern of chasing emotionally unavailable men, unconsciously hoping that by winning over a distant partner, they can finally fix the original rejection from their father. Low self-worth and people-pleasing. If a father was critical or only offered conditional love based on performance, a woman may become a chronic overachiever or a people-pleaser. She learns to equate her value with how much she can do for others, rather than who she is. Sexual identity. There can be a struggle with boundaries, either becoming overly guarded to avoid further hurt or seeking physical intimacy as a substitute for the emotional intimacy they missed during childhood. The male experience. The performance trap. For men, the father wound is often a wound of competence and masculinity. A boy looks to his father to learn how to be a man. When that mirror is cracked or missing, the boy is left to guess, often turning to societal stereotypes that may be harmful. The mask of hypermasculinity. To compensate for the lack of a strong, healthy masculine guide, some men adopt an exaggerated, tough exterior. This often masks a deep sense of inadequacy and a fear of being perceived as weak. Emotional stoicism. If a father was cold or punished vulnerability, the son learns that emotions are dangerous. This leads to an inability to identify or express feelings, which creates profound isolation in their own adult families. The rivalry/approval cycle. Men often feel they are in a permanent shadow, either trying to outdo their father out of spite or constantly seeking a nod of approval that never comes. This can manifest as workaholism or a paralyzing fear of failure. Shared ground and healing. Despite these differences, both genders share the inner orphan, the part of the psyche that feels it must navigate the world alone. Healing begins with reparenting. This involves acknowledging that the adult self must now provide the protection and validation that the father failed to give. By mourning the father they deserved but didn't have, individuals can stop looking for him in their partners, their bosses, or their mirrors. Reparenting is the psychological process of acting as your own wise advocate. Since the father wound involves a deficit in protection, guidance, and validation, reparenting focuses on building those internal structures yourself. While the goal is the same, internal security, the inner child of each gender often requires a different flavor of intervention. 1. Reparenting for women. Building internal safety. For women, the father wound often manifests as an external search for worth. Reparenting involves shifting the source of validation from out there to in here. The protective boundary. If your father didn't protect your boundaries or overstep them, your inner nurturer must learn to say no without guilt. Exercise. When you feel the urge to people please, pause and ask, am I doing this because I want to, or because I'm afraid of being disliked? Affirming worthiness. Replace the conditional love of a critical father with unconditional self-regard. Affirmation. My value is inherent. It is not tied to my productivity, my appearance, or how much I do for others. Breaking the rescue fantasy. Consciously recognizing that no partner can fill the hole left by a father. You become the person who saves yourself. 2. Reparenting for men. Building emotional integrity. For men, the wound often centers on a fear of inadequacy or weakness. Reparenting involves dismantling the performance and allowing for authentic humanity. Validating vulnerability. The inner father must tell the inner boy that it is safe to feel. Exercise. When feeling stressed or sad, resist the urge to fix it or tough it out. Simply name the emotion. I am feeling overwhelmed right now, and that is an acceptable human experience. Decoupling achievement from identity, learning that failure in a task is not a failure of manhood. Exercise. Engage in a hobby where you are a beginner and bad at it. Practice being okay with the lack of mastery. Mentorship versus father seeking. Instead of seeking a surrogate father to approve of you, look for peers to walk alongside. The goal is to move from a son mindset to an adult man mindset. Practical internal dialogue techniques. A core part of reparenting is the two-chair technique or internal dialogue. You literally speak from the perspective of your healthy adult to your wounded inner child. The role of fathering yourself. Ultimately, fathering yourself means providing two things: firmness, structure, discipline, boundaries and warmth, encouragement, presence, safety. When you can provide both to yourself, the wound stops being an open sore and becomes a scar, a mark of where you've healed. If you find this video helpful, consider subscribing to Libido channel for more information that doesn't consume your time more than it's necessary to learn.